For the past 6 months, every morning without fail, a golden retriever sat at the edge of the old bus stop on Maple Street. He didn't bark. He didn't move much. He simply waited, eyes fixed on the road as if expecting someone to return. People came and went. Buses stopped and left. But the doggy stayed. At first, no one paid much attention. Maybe he was just a stray. Maybe he had gotten lost. But then people began to notice, he was always in the same spot, sitting the same way, facing the same direction no matter the time or weather. His golden fur grew duller with time, his eyes tired, but they remained locked onto the road like he was searching every passing car for a familiar face. They called him Rusty. No one knew where the name came from. Just fit. For the first 30 seconds of this story, you might think this is just about a dog. But it's not. It's about love, loyalty, and loss so powerful that even silence can scream. Rusty became part of the neighborhood. The fruit vendor left scraps for him every evening. A schoolgirl named Amina brought him water. Cafe workers gave him biscuits on their way to work. He never asked for anything. He only accepted what was given, and never left that spot. Then came the rain. One night, a thunderstorm tore through the town. Trees bent with the wind, water rushed down the streets, and still Rusty was there, curled beneath the metal bench, drenched and shivering. Lena, a young veterinary assistant, had been watching Rusty for weeks. She finally couldn't take it anymore. Wrapping herself in a raincoat, she rushed to the bus stop with an umbrella and an old blanket. Rusty didn't growl or run. When she knelt beside him, he looked at her. Not with fear, but with the kind of sadness that sits too deep to express. She wrapped the blanket around him and whispered, "Just for tonight, okay?" That night, Rusty slept indoors for the first time in who knows how long. Lena dried him, fed him, and set a warm bed near the heater. But even as he lay curled up in comfort, he didn't sleep deeply. His ears twitched at every passing sound outside. His head would lift at distant car engines. His body, though resting, was still waiting. The next morning, before sunrise, Rusty stood by the door. He wanted to go back. Back to the bus stop. Lena hesitated, but something told her this wasn't just obsession, it was purpose. She clipped on a temporary leash and walked with him. The moment they reached the corner, Rusty pulled gently and led her the rest of the way. When they reached the bench, he sat down. Same spot. Same position. Eyes back on the road. And so, it continued. Rusty lived with Lena, but every morning they walked to the stop. He sat. He waited. And every evening she picked him up again. She began asking questions. She printed posters. "Do you know this dog? Have you seen him before?" She posted on social media, attached the location, and tagged local shelters. Thousands saw it. People shared it. And then, one comment caught her eye. Read, "I think I've seen this dog before. With a girl. She wore a red scarf. She used to get off that exact bus stop around 5 p.m. every day." Lena's heart pounded. She messaged the commenter, who turned out to be an elderly man named Mr. Harris. He lived on the same street. He recalled a girl, maybe early 20s, who used to step off the evening bus with a golden retriever bouncing beside her. She'd laugh as he tugged her forward, he said. Always wore that red scarf. Then one day she just stopped coming. But the dog came back. Lena's mind raced. Who was the girl? What had happened to her? She began visiting nearby apartments, asking neighbors, shopkeepers, bus drivers. Weeks passed. Then one evening, a nurse from the local hospital named Zara reached out. She had seen the viral posts and recognized the dog instantly. "That's Lily's dog," she said. "His name is Max." Lily. A name. Zara explained that Lily had been battling cancer. She was young, bright, and full of light, despite everything. Every day she took the bus to the hospital for her treatment. And every day Max came along. But on one particular day she went in, and didn't come out. She passed away during an emergency procedure. No one knew what happened to the dog. Max had run out of the hospital doors that day and disappeared. And now here he was, still waiting at the stop where he last saw her arrive and depart. Lena couldn't hold back tears as Zara spoke. It was no longer a mystery. Max Rusty wasn't lost. He was loyal. Fiercely, heartbreakingly loyal. He hadn't forgotten her. He was waiting for her return. Every single day. The next morning, Lena didn't take Max to the bus stop. Instead, she held him and whispered, "I know now. I know who she was. And why you wait." Max struggled. He whined at the door. But she held firm. Because something else had arrived with Zara's message. Lily's parents had seen the posts too. They were coming to see Max. That evening, a white car stopped in front of Lena's home. An elderly couple stepped out. The woman was holding something, a red scarf. The moment Max saw her, he froze. Then slowly he walked forward, sniffed the scarf, and whimpered. The man knelt down, tears in his eyes. "Hey there, boy," he choked. "We missed you." Max pressed his head into the man's chest and let out a long, low cry. It wasn't a bark. It wasn't a whine. It was grief, recognition, and maybe a little relief. Lena stood at a distance, her own tears falling freely. The family took Max home that night. Not to replace Lily, but to remember her. To heal. Yet something changed after that. The next morning, Max didn't sit by the door. He didn't pull toward the bus stop. He simply lay at the foot of Lily's bed, now covered in her photos and favorite things. As if he knew, he had waited long enough. But the story isn't over yet. Because there was still one more secret waiting to be uncovered. One that even Max didn't know. Max was home. The dog who had spent 6 long months at a lonely bus stop was finally back where he belonged, with Lily's parents. The red scarf still lay on the table beside his bed, and though the house was quieter now, something about Max's presence filled it with warmth again. He didn't try to leave. He didn't rush to the door at bus sounds anymore. He just stayed near Lily's photos, occasionally placing his head on her old sweater, his tail gently thudding on the floor as if she were still near. And yet, something still felt unfinished. Lena visited often. Max greeted her with a wag and gentle nudge, as if thanking her for leading him home. During one visit, as she sipped tea with Lily's mother, Farah, she asked softly, "Can I ask about Lily? I want to know more about her." "I think Max does too." Farah smiled, though her eyes glistened. "Lily was always soft-hearted," she said. "Even when she was sick, she cared more about others. She adopted Max from a shelter after reading a story about abandoned dogs. Said she saw something in his eyes. Pain, but hope too." Lena looked down at Max, now curled under the table. She understood exactly what Lily had meant. Then Farah hesitated. "There's something I've never told anyone." Lena's curiosity stirred. Farah reached for a box in the drawer. Inside were letters. Dozens of them. All handwritten. All addressed to Max. She pulled one out, unfolded it, and read aloud. "Dear Max, if you're reading this, or someone is reading this to you, it means I'm gone. But I need you to know you were never just a dog. You were my strength, my reason to fight, my sunshine on the darkest days." Tears slipped down Farah's cheek. "She wrote one every day during treatment," she whispered. She said if anything happened, she wanted him to remember her voice. Lena's throat tightened. "Why haven't you read them to him?" she asked. I didn't think he'd understand. But maybe now, after everything." The next day, Farah sat with Max and read him the letters. Slowly. Gently. Each word carrying love, memory, and goodbye. And Max listened. Eyes open, ears tilted. His body still. Then something remarkable happened. By the 4th letter, Max stood up and walked over to Lily's old closet. He pawed at it once, then twice. Farah opened it. Inside, tucked in the corner, was an old duffel bag. And beside it, a small notebook. Lena picked it up. It wasn't one of the letters. It was a journal. Inside the journal were entries from Lily's final months. Some were cheerful, about Max chasing butterflies or getting into her cereal bowl. Others were heavy, with scribbled tears and shaking words. But one entry stood out. "If anything happens to me and Max is alone, someone needs to know the truth. He was never just waiting for me. He was protecting something. Someone." Lena and Farah looked at each other. What did she mean? Lena asked. Farah took a shaky breath. "Lily used to volunteer at a shelter downtown. She worked with rescue dogs, injured strays, abandoned animals. Lena nodded. She never told me that. Farah continued. She mentioned once there was a dog-fighting ring. Some cruel people were using stolen pets. She tried to report them but what? Lena leaned forward. She said someone followed her once. That Max growled at a man outside the hospital. She was scared but she didn't stop volunteering. Lena's heart raced. What if Max wasn't just waiting? What if he was watching? Keeping an eye out for the man? They contacted the shelter where Lily volunteered. A woman named Neha remembered her well. When she heard Max was back, she cried. She saved so many dogs, Neha said. But there was one case she was obsessed with. A small black lab named Shadow. He was stolen the night before his adoption. Lily suspected the same group she had been tracking. Lena pieced it together. Maybe Max was Lily's protector, her partner. And after her passing he stayed, not just for her, but in case someone came back. In case Shadow or others were returned. In case justice hadn't been served yet. And maybe someone had come back. One evening, weeks later, a man appeared near the bus stop. He stood under the shelter, hood up, smoking, watching. A woman walking her child noticed Max growling from the front yard, a sound he hadn't made in months. Lena, passing by, saw the man too. Something about him felt wrong. Too still. Too alert. She called the police and reported suspicious activity. When they arrived, the man tried to walk away. But they stopped him. When questioned, he grew nervous. A search revealed dozens of fake tags, collars, and even a small tranquilizer gun. He was part of the stolen dog ring. And he had returned. Max had known. He had stayed at the bus stop for two reasons: waiting for Lily and watching out for those she feared. Even without her, he remained her guardian. Her silent soldier. After the arrest, the shelter recovered 3 stolen dogs. One of them, a black lab, was frail but alive. Shadow. The one Lily had been trying to save. When Max saw him, he wagged slowly, cautiously, then gently touched noses. Farah wept. So did Lena. It wasn't just grief that had held Max at that bus stop. It was love, loyalty, and a mission. In the weeks that followed, the town honored Lily's memory. A mural of her and Max was painted on the wall near the bus stop. Beneath it were the words, "Love never waits in vain." Max became a symbol of hope, of guardianship, of quiet, unwavering devotion. He lived peacefully with Farah and her husband, visiting the shelter weekly. He even played with Shadow, now fully recovered. Some days he still looked down the road, just for a moment. But then he'd turn back, wagging his tail, and return home. Because Max had done what many never could. He had waited. He had protected. And now he could rest. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this story. If this touched your heart or made you think, please don't forget to give it a like. Share it with others so more people can be aware and learn from it. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to our channel for more powerful, emotional, and eye-opening stories. Stay connected for our upcoming videos. Together, let's make a difference.